S24 울트라의
Lucy
출시가도 확인해보세요.
Consolata
마지막은
Wanjiru Muhinga
S24 울트라입니다.
on her last journey. And it's so befitting that we are at the Consolata Shrine, which is also her second name. Lucy and I began our journey in 1983 at the BCom class of 1983 to 1986. And one day, she shared how she could not be in college most of the weekends, as she had to take care of her siblings and make special meals for her late dad, having lost her mother in 1974, and having taken over the role of daughter and mother. I was eventually roped into the family through the delicious meals that she would bring from home to her Hall 12 residence, and I would partake of that. And I got attracted to her unusual caring and self-sacrifice attitude, and thus began our dating and eventual life together, from our meeting in 1984, culminating in our wedding on 29th of October, 1988. Sadly, 3 weeks after our honeymoon, her dad passed away. And after reviewing the various options we had, we agreed on to take on board her 4 youngest siblings, and the other ones being older, we agreed they could take care of themselves, into a new home to stabilize them, which also meant my postponing my accountancy secondment to London by 1 year. Now that gesture on my part was greatly repaid with overwhelming love over the rest of her life, a matter she often referred to. And it's no wonder, in 2018, she easily took in my aging mom, now 100 years, to live with us under her care. And my mom is actually here. Of course, she has no idea what's happening. We eventually left together in April of 1990 to start a new life in London for 2 great years of bonding and traveling across Europe, while still keeping tabs on our families in Kenya. And since then, we've traveled the world together and been part of one another's life in various activities. You see one, you know the other one is in the neighborhood. I remember Lucy for many things over the last 40 years that I've known her. She was never moved by material things. Those who know her simplicity. She only put on makeup when our daughter insisted. In our entire married life, Lucy never operated a personal bank account. She preferred a joint account where all her income was deposited, and she trusted me with all the financial decisions. All she asked for is give me a bank card to do the shopping, top up my M-Pesa, and most of that shopping was basically household things. As Tabi has said, when we traveled, we'd agree that it's a shopping holiday. And Lucy and Tabi would go on for days. I know Tabi has said it's 2 to 3 hours. But times it will take 2-3 days. And after all that shopping, Lucy would only bring back some fancy items like her colored golf ball that you all know, and household items for us all to use. would then conspire with Tabby to look where they had gone, to identify what item she had shown some interest into, and would buy it secretly and surprise her in the hotel. And even then she would say, this one, some people may understand what that means, nitavaa wageni wakija. Lucy, however, loved handbags. And anytime I asked her, what would you like me to bring because I'm away, she would say, get me another handbag. And if she liked one, there was no choice. I remember in one of our travels, we went to Rome in 1991 by train, and she saw a handbag that she liked. But the shopkeeper said, perhaps, if you don't like what we have another shop in Milan. We're in Rome. And we have more variety there. And Lucy said, you heard what they said? Let's get on the train. So we get to Milan, we get to the shop, we look around, and she said, I don't like what you found here. Let's go back to Rome to buy what we have seen. We get back to Rome and find the shop closed. So I say, what do we do? We are supposed to be traveling to Zurich because it's a trip we had kind of worked. She said, no problem, let's sleep over here. We pick our handbag, we reschedule the journey tomorrow. And that's what we did, and we bought 2 handbags that she treasured. That's Lucy for you. We've been told about her care into the community and her orphan fostering program and sponsorship, which extended to creating over 200 plus people under her care and her sponsorship. And they fondly, up to now, refer to her as mom. So you can imagine at times our shock as men, when these kids come around and she's around and call me dad. And I'm like, hello, I don't quite. And she would enjoy the moment of my confusion, and then they say, no, this is one of ours. Lucy's passion for trees has been known by everyone. When we bought our plot in 1993, a half-an-acre plot in Runda, she said, can I plant a few trees so that by the time the house comes up, the trees will also have matured? I said, go ahead. She was working in the UN then, so it was near. By the time we went to now, plot the house with the architect, we found the whole plot was full of trees. And it took my late dad to convince her to cut some of those trees with the promise that he would allocate her a specific piece of land in Kipiperi to do her trees. I don't need to go through all the things she did in Kipiperi. We know she did over 600,000 trees, seedlings, and at 10,000 each, you can look at the local economy. We're talking about 6 billion invested through trees when they mature. And I think the first crop has already matured and people have had the benefit of it. I knew Lucy as a lady of utmost integrity. And I believe the chairlady of KLGU has given one of the examples. She never wanted to hurt or harm anyone. She trusted people and expected the same honesty. Unfortunately, this is not always reflected in the political outcomes that we all go through. And accordingly, even as she rested, she's never reconciled herself to the results based on the promised support on the ground and who she was interacting with. And it will take a miracle to get me back into politics. Lucy only committed to things that she was convinced about. And when I initially introduced her to golf through a birthday gift of a Titleist golf kit, hoping to entice her to golf. It stayed in the store for 2 solid years. And she told, if you want it, take it back to the shop, buy me what? Buy me a handbag. But I got very good ladies, and I see Virginia Murioki here and company. I asked them, can you convince Lucy to play golf? They did. And immediately she got convinced, she plunged into it. And you can see how much she did for golf. We know about her dancing. And thank Father John for playing her favorite song, Mafataro. Mafataro means my needs. And every time it will be played, she will come to me and say, come, my Mafataro, let's go dance. So it had much more meaning to her than just dancing the song. You are my needs, and let us. So it's good to. We know about her cooking skills. Every time when we prepare for the field day or campaign, we used to refer to Lucy's car as a catering unit. Because you got in there, you had a sandwich, you had food. Mine was just kuna kitu. And she did all that, those snacks, late in the night alone. Lucy loved herbal medicine. She researched and administered various doses of her herbal concoctions. And obviously, I was a prime guinea pig. If you sneezed, if you had food poisoning, if you were bruised, anything, she'd be there with something. Be it some spices, cocktail, some ground charcoal, some vinegar. You know, there was always something for a cure. And Philip Kinisu at home gave us an example of how he was cured at Vipingo by Lucy when he had a bruise and nobody was attending to it. Often, her treatments worked. Let me also mention, even when I was away, I know one time in Zimbabwe, one time in South Africa, when I had food poisoning, and I called her, she sent me a recipe to give to the chef on what to prepare for me to cure my tummy. And it worked. Now, often all these treatments worked, except, of course, the one that she tried to convert my gray hair into black. And after a week of patiently being applied on my head and being told to sleep for a few minutes and then it's uncovered, it didn't work. And obviously the second bit was because I'm allergic to honey, and she tried all manner of ways because she believed honey is good. And she could not call me honey because I'm allergic to honey. So she got a beehive at our home to grow organic honey so that perhaps I'm allergic to other honey. But even after that, I didn't. And I believe after that, she's never harvested any more honey. We had our coded language. And Lucy thrived in getting names for different things. Be it our school, be it our dogs, she would always look for a name. And even everything we did. So for example, she would ask me, I'm going shopping. Have you finished your korikori? What's korikori? You know the shaking sound you get when the capsules in the. Have you finished your korikoris? Or in London, she would call the London underground a gaturu. Gaturu is a squirrel from the way it emerges. And there's only one person who knew about that. And since that day, my cousin who just came from the US yesterday, Nyambura, they started referring to another as gaturu. When Lucy talked of, I'm going to see Adwakwa, my people, you think she's going to see her sisters or others. What she actually meant is to see Morgan, to see Pepper, and Sue, her treasured dogs. I can go on forever. But suffice it to say, Lucy, no doubt, loved me. She loved us as a family, and she gave her everything for us. And literally spoiled us in a way we probably could not reciprocate. If there's anyone I was sure would take a bullet for me, it was Lucy. And she had one belief of protecting her family first, then sorting out those issues internally. It did not matter what I had done. First of all, get rid of the outsider, then sort out the internal issues internally. And that was the same thing with Maria, that was the same thing with Ron, and we've learned her love and her protection. I'll miss her dearly. I always love her, and I always thank God for having given her to me for the last 40 years. May her spirit live within us forever. Fare with thee well, my love. But it's through your love and support that we are able to stand here. We ask that you continue praying for us and that you join us in Kipipiri on 17th of February, when we will do a bigger memorial service and celebration of Lucy without the constraints of time that we have, because we need to honor our commitment to the church, as well as our commitment to honoring Lucy's desire that she should not be kept, and that we can celebrate later, but we need to make sure that we have carried out her wishes. So we created 17th of February as a full day where we can go and celebrate and dance and plant trees and talk in celebration of what Lucy meant to each one of us. So welcome on the 17th, and many, many thanks for being with us from Tuesday, and we believe you'll be with us until the 17th.